Let's rock it out. Let's finish it all. Cause I said we was lit. Let's go.
And I remember reading Vanity Fair. I remember reading the article on Sweetbriar College. And the article talked, y'all, this was a 2,847 acre campus.
Damn.
And the Board of Trustees declared this. They cited insurmountable financial challenges. Now, if you telling me that a white women's college that was nearly 3,000 acres, that had significant alumni, could not survive. And look, it said right here, Sweetbriar cut its tuition, fees, and room and board cost by a third in 2017. Couldn't survive. They invested in the campus and athletic facilities. Couldn't survive. Developed a 3-year enhanced strategic plan. Couldn't survive. Y'all, sometimes you have to bring things to an end. I'm going to go to my panel. And I'm going to start with you, Greg. It's hard to say these things, but sometimes black folk have got to just acknowledge a reality is staring us in the face. Just your thoughts.
Well, brother, again, there's a common theme emerging tonight. The American Negro has some difficult choices to make in the shadow of Barbara Scotia at another school there in Charlotte.
I was muted.
Sorry, am I? Okay, at another school in Charlotte in 1960, Johnson C. Smith, Dr. Du Bois gave a talk, Whither Now and Why. He said, these laws are going to change. There will be desegregation. And at that point, the American Negro has to make the real decision. He says the real decision is about race and it's about culture. Will we disappear into this American void? He said, this is what's going to happen. Your children are going to start making different decisions about where to go to school, and some of them will drop out together. Some of y'all are going to chase the white phantom. He said that in 1960 at Johnson C. Smith, another, by the way, piece of prime real estate that the developers in the Charlotte area have been licking their chops in addition to Barbara Scotia. And it seems to me that the American Negro has become increasingly infantilized since the end of the Black Power movement era in the 1970s and 80s. What do I mean by that? I mean, our children now dream of playing for Duke, ball chasing for Duke or the University of North Carolina, or for that matter, playing football for the University of Texas or your alma mater, or a school in the shadow of my alma mater, Tennessee State Vanderbilt University. They dream of white institutions because they say they have better facilities. They have all this stuff. And here's the choice that we should have made years ago, which I don't know that we'll make now, even as I see the world changing and global geopolitics becoming more multipolar. The American Negro may very well be left behind. And what the hell? Du Bois tried to tell us and we don't listen. And they don't listen to you now, because remember when they sacked that sister at Texas A&M and you were like, athletes shouldn't come. Ain't no Negroes making no different kind of choices except where can I get this NIL money and where can I get this training facility and where all these kind of things. Here's where I'm going with this. Brother, you remember, this is only a few months ago, Jeff Yass, another white nationalist billionaire, gave $100 million to some made up ass school in Austin, Texas called the University of Austin.
Yeah, a right wing college.
Come on.
And Barry Wise was associated with them before she came with CBS.
Come on, brother. Listen, Roland, what you're telling us, you're giving us hard medicine, but here is what we have to do as if we're going to take this medicine. I don't expect we will, because we still think the Sinners is going to win Best Picture at the Oscars. The American Negro is delusional. But the point is this. When you see billionaires funding their white nationalist dreams, the new school, new college in Florida, or this University of Austin, you can't match them dollar for dollar. You can match them, however, body for body, because we are the labor force that enabled them to become rich. When a ball chaser decides that she's going to throw balls into a hoop at the University of Connecticut instead of going to Grambling, when a ball chaser decides that he's going to go knock people over in Tuscaloosa, Alabama instead of Tuskegee or Alabama State, I am putting the onus on his parents, on her parents and community, because
You
you
hear
have
him?
trained those Negroes because they
You
watched
working?
you to chase something other than your self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara Scotia may very well close, but the university I work at, Howard University, that may think for a moment it is safe, even as
Howard.
tuition soars past $60,000 a year, better go back and understand two things. Number one, as Du Bois said 40 years before he gave that speech in 1960, where he said, some of these smaller Negro colleges need to consolidate and become feeders to the HBCUs that are larger so we can figure out how to create our own self-sustaining system.
Yeah.
And here's the bombshell, friends. We talked about this last Thursday night at Howard. We did a panel called Reimagining Public Education. Go to Howard's website and go watch that conversation we had there.
That must be real, huh?
The university as a concept, my friends, it's dead. It's about to die.
Mm-hmm.
The AI revolution, the disruption, all that's going to go. You can't keep charging people 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a year for skills that they can develop without paying that kind of money, particularly the poor, and particularly when these billionaires are funding all their own pet projects, and you won't get off your booty enough to involve yourself in the political process so that their white nationalist friends that they paid for to be in the legislature steal your tax dollars to subsidize those slave plantations, particularly in the South, where your sons and daughters are chasing ball, while the HBCUs that surround those plantation schools slowly die. It's time for a choice, American Negro, but I might be like Du Bois. Shit, he went to Ghana, and I might go too, because the American Negro is a race of children at this point, if we don't make some different kind of decisions and make them soon.
Let me say this, Sweet Briar College didn't shut down. I remember they announced the decision, but they made all these different changes to bring it back. And one of the things that they did was they looked at the land where the university was, and they reconfigured how they were using that land, something that folks have been talking about should happen at St. Augustine's with the land that they have. And you'll see right here, it said they embraces agricultural heritage. And on those land now, they have vineyards growing grapes for Virginia wines and providing auxiliary revenue for the college. So they were going to shut down, but they didn't. But let me show you this here so you can understand what has happened. And that is, there have been, in the last year, there have been 16 colleges that have shut down.
I
16.
ain't know that.
These are not
I ain't know
HBCUs.
that.
These are 16 colleges. And so we got to understand, Randy, this thing is happening. And I just want us as African Americans to begin to understand when we're talking about, again, asking folk to keep giving. Somebody asked me once, somebody said, Roland, if you decide to give $500,000 to an HBCU, would you give it to support an athletic program? I said no.
My man said no.
I said no. I said I would give that $500,000 to an academic program because I can actually help. You can hire more faculty and help more students stay in school than the athletic program. Those are decisions that you have to make.
Right.
When Talladega announced they were going to start a gymnastics program, well, Fisk did. They had to abandon it. They couldn't afford it because that wasn't gymnastics in their conference. The travel costs were extraordinary. We had the brother on the show. He wanted to start an ice hockey team at Fisk. Okay, nice idea, but unless the hockey team is going to sit here and underwrite it,
nice idea.
the cost to do a hockey team annually was more the entire Tennessee athletic budget. It was like, what are we doing here? But I just see right here that we're going to the same folks saying, hey, save us, save us, save us. There's some things that need to end. I have said to some black newspapers, you need to shut down and merge. I've said to other black-owned businesses, there should be joint ventures. You need to merge. It doesn't make sense having 5 PR companies doing the same thing, neither one doing 100,000 or 200,000 in billing, and you got 5 offices, 5 light bills, all this sort of stuff. Doesn't it make sense to say, hey, can we create one large PR firm to get larger business? Sometimes you got to make those decisions.
Yes, you do.
You're absolutely right. It's so interesting. I go to this corridor in L'Enfant Plaza, right? And it's a corridor of all of these women, actually, who provide services. They do my hair, they do my nails, they do my lashes, they do all the things. And all of them, as I've been going, they said they're suffering. They are going, they're making it week to week because of what's happening with the economy, particularly in the Washington, D.C. area. And I said to them, have you considered consolidating suites? Some of you are there certain days, some, close down other days. And it really started this whole conversation and thought process is, are we ready as Black people to make the sacrifices that we need to make, unite and get through to the other side? Because we are under attack, right? And, it's understandable because we were brought here without our wanting to be, that we don't have the immigrant mindset where people will share houses, where you have multi-generations in houses. That's how we used to be. And we kind of got away from that. And what I see happening, we've gotten away from it. And we all want our own.
Did y'all just hear what that lady said, man? That lady said we need to get a mindset of an immigrant mindset, bro. So the immigrants, man, they could live together, eat together. They could do everything together. They could build together and everything. Us Blacks, we can't do shit together because we always trying to cross each other, man. England, what's up? Thank you for tapping in, New England. What's up, brother? How you doing? Man, we lit tonight, man. Let's go.
But from what I see of what's happening in this country, it requires of us to make those critical changes in order to literally survive.
Right.
And that
the goal
does
is to
mean
survive.
The goal is to survive.
Thrive.
Right. Right. To survive, to thrive. Exactly.
Not to be comatose.
Right, absolutely. And so, yes, I applaud the ideas of smaller colleges, some shutting down or banding the resources together so we can go forward. But everybody trying to do their own thing is not going to work, not now.
Let's go.
That point, Reese,
for real.
I have
like
said that, and I've been saying
that.
it for decades, I fear for what's happening with Black-owned media. And I've said to a whole bunch of folk, I said, y'all, this whole anti-DI thing, it's hitting a whole lot of people. It's hitting a whole lot of people. And folks are not paying attention. Folks are like, and then now all of a sudden, I never forget, 2023, NAACP Image Awards. I was yelling and screaming. They were like, man, he talking too much. Why he's so loud with this? And I said, y'all, DEI is dead. The panels on DEI, I said, I'm telling y'all right now, the chair of the board was not even sitting 15 feet in front of me. I said, I'm trying to warn y'all. It's coming. Brace yourself. I said, we're going to see a wipeout in Black America. And folk thought I was joking. And I'm now, folks, and now all of a sudden you're seeing it in real time. And so I just need people to recognize what's real. This is an Inside Higher Education report, Reese. Hold on, don't go to my iPad yet. This was in December 2025. And it said the colleges that could not survive in 2025: Northland College, St. Andrews University, Limestone University, Bacone College, Penn State Dubois, Penn State Fayette, Penn State Mont Alto, Penn State New Kensington, Penn State Shenango, Penn State Wilkes-Barre, Penn State York, Siena Heights, the King's College, Trinity Christian College, Sterling College, Martin University. And then to jump to the list of mergers, click here. So if I click here, now all of a sudden it lays out these institutions. Look at this, Villanova, a significantly large institution, will absorb Rosemont. So here's one of those things. There are other HBCUs that are there in North Carolina. Okay, what's the possibility? The campus is 23 acres. Okay,
come on.
Is there an HBCU, Reese, in North Carolina that could create a satellite campus there in Charlotte? So all of a sudden, if that institution acquires the assets of Barbara Scotia College, see, again, this is how the thinking has to be. But at the end of the day, if you cannot sustain yourself, you figure out a way to maintain your history by, again, merging or being acquired, but to keep asking people to say, please keep getting. That's not, I'm sorry, it's not going to work because it hasn't worked.
That ain't good.
Yeah, and legacy is not going to be enough of a value proposition. The value has to come in the actual value, the return on the investment. And so part of it, you would like to think that education, you don't have to make those financial kind of arguments, but you do. It's still a business at the end of the day. And so you have to evolve and you have to offer a value that makes people want to buy in. That's value for students to want to come and pay tuition, value for alumni so that they have something to invest in. And if you are not providing that value, which the proof is in the pudding, you have no money, then you have to rethink it. I don't think that it's incumbent upon us to preserve things that aren't providing value. It's not about nostalgia anymore. The real world is kicking our ass. Too much to be trying to preserve something just for namesake. It can't just be namesake. It has to be something substantive.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in evolving. There's no shame in merging. Sorry, somebody got to give up the title. Somebody got to give up the office. Somebody got to give up the prestige. Somebody got to give up maybe that salary. And you may not have the juice in this new hierarchy when you merge, but so be it. At some point, people are going to have to come to terms with that. But I do want to speak to your point about Black media as well. Black people are the tastemakers in this country. And we set so many trends, we set so many tones, and people follow us in what we watch. And there is a whole world of people who wouldn't have no idea who nobody Black is, and that works to our advantage.
Yep.
But the reality is a lot of people follow us.
Yep.
And what I want us to
A
do,
lot
and
of
I
people.
said this probably in 2023, and I've been saying it on your show for years, I want us to recognize the power of what has been built already, not just the power of who's left mainstream media. And there are people, Don Lemon is a person I consider a friend, and I love him, and he's had me on his show. But I think that it is erasing and it's minimizing the power of the institutions that have been built, like a Roland Martin and Filter, like Black Star Network, or like what me and my friend Dr. Carr are on, Urban View. I know that's not Black owned, but my point is that there have been infrastructures and there have been people who have been doing the work, but because as the tastemakers, so many people are so built on what said and what argument was on Abby Phillips' show or who came from this main network, and now they out there speaking truth, as we have all been doing for years, for hours a day on our platforms. And so as the tastemakers, we have to at some point decide to stop putting that premium on things that don't come from us, and to start putting that premium and making the things go viral, the things that we've been saying all along. That's how we're going to empower ourselves.
Yep. And the fact of the matter is, you've long said it, and when I see people post items and we've had discussions here. Matter of fact, it's a perfect example. We had the president of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore on this show talking about her lawsuit against a professor. We had her on. 6 weeks later, a white media outlet picks it up. Then 3 Black media outlets write stories based upon what that white outlet said about the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all late, because we had the exclusive. And so it happens all the time. And that, when Greg's brother, when he was on here, when he said, we sent our promo, Black folks, bring your eyeballs home. We always are saying that. We drive numbers. And I can't.
We drive numbers.
I can't. I have people who go, hey man, you know what? You should do this or you should do that. We need to get millennials watching. I said, listen, all I can do is do the show every day.
Yep.
I said, I'm here. I said, but to your point, when you look at how other stuff goes viral, and I just sit there and go, ain't that interesting?
Right.
And understand how white media works. Every time Stephen A. Smith can belch, and the New York Post and Mediaite, they gonna run stories. Never gonna call us. Those things happen. But I do want people to see this here, because I mentioned earlier, these are the mergers that took place in 2025. Rosemont College, Villanova University, East Georgia State University, Georgia Southern University, Russell Sage College, Albany College, King University, New Jersey.
What are you talking about?
These are mergers. And so what we are saying, it's not like it hasn't happened. And so.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. How old were you when you made your first million?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for the...
And last point I'll say is this here. because I know some people are going to say, well, you're saying that. And let me be real clear, and I'll be very public. Before I launched Roland Martin Unfiltered, I went to every major black media company and said, let's partner. I offered this show first to partner with Urban One. No response. I met with Rich Dennis 3 times at Essence. Nothing. I met with Black Enterprise. Nothing. I met with Blavity. Nothing. So let's be real clear. I understood. I said, yo, you have existing infrastructure. I'm doing something you're not doing. Let's partner. I did not want to partner with a white mainstream company for a reason. Because I didn't want to seek permission to talk about stuff that mattered to us.
Yep.
So that's also the deal. I'm going to need African Americans to put egos aside, to put agendas aside, and to make decisions that are in the best interests of black people. And if you cannot maintain 5 institutions, can we maintain 3? Can we get 2? Can we have 1 strong institution? I have said this for 30 years about black newspapers. I ran the Dallas Weekly. It was the stupidest thing in the world in Dallas, Texas, that did not have the same number of black people as Houston. And we had the Dallas Weekly, the Dallas Post-Tribune, Elite News, Minority Opportunity News, Dallas Examiner, Levita, and there were like a couple of others. I said, y'all having 7 or 8 black papers in Dallas is stupid. It's dumb. When there were 2 dailies in the city, and in 1990 there was 1, 1991 there was 1, when Dallas Times Herald shut down. I'll say this again. You often hear white media, mergers and acquisitions. Rarely do you ever hear black companies, black media companies, black law firms, and on and on. You rarely hear mergers and acquisitions, to Randy's point, because too many of us want to call ourselves the CEO.
Probably, maybe.
I would rather be an equity owner of a business that's bigger, that has capacity, than be the CEO and got me a cute little card and I'm the only employee. Barbara Scott, and it's just, I'm just being straight up. I never forget.
Hey, Roland, do you remember, and you've been on this campus many times, brother, there's one example of what you're saying in terms of HBCUs that's right in front of our faces. In the fall of 1987, the Atlanta University, which is where Dr. Du Bois made his bones, the campus that is now occupied in part by Morris Brown, made a deal with Clark College, which back to 1869, because there was dwindling enrollment at the Atlanta University. And in order to stabilize themselves, they said, well, come into a closer formation. Within the next year, I think it was April 88, those two merged. How many times, Roland, have you been on the campus of Clark Atlanta University? That is exactly what you were talking about, brother. It's not like it ain't happened before. Come on, man.
That's all I'm saying. Black people, I am tired of black institutions surviving. I want us thriving. But we cannot survive if 5 of us are weak. You can't. It's simply not plausible.
At all.
So we'll see what happens in Charlotte with the folks at Barbara Scotia.
Man, listen, I'm tapping in. We're going to keep turning the party up, man, because guess what? I like what he doing. Real talk, man. Like, real talk type shit. Like, the shit makes sense. I don't care what nobody say. I got my own opinion. You know what I'm saying? The shit makes sense, bro. What he's saying, bro. Shit makes sense. But let's get lit. Let's get lit.
That's what they told us. Fired Dr. Kevin James. Here we are, a week later. He's not being reinstated. You're like, what? I'm sorry. What the world just happened? Yeah, they sent out a statement to everyone stating that he was being reinstated. Now, keep in mind, they fired him, did not say why he was being fired. They did not share with anybody the reasons, anything along those lines. They announced that an interim president, a board member, was going to be coming in. And this is what dropped today. The Board of Trustees of Morris Brown College issues the following statement regarding Dr. Kevin James as 19th president. The board today announces its decision to rescind the termination of Dr. Kevin James. As part of a mutually agreed upon resolution on January 16, 2026, he accepted the invitation to return as the president of Morris Brown College.
Can you believe that this guy in this picture is me? I didn't realize how bad my hair loss was until I seen.
Dr. James has served Morris Brown College with distinction for 7 years, leading the institution through a period of significant progress, restoration, and renewed national visibility. His leadership, vision, and steadfast commitment have been instrumental to the college's advancement and stability. The board looks forward to Dr. James' continued leadership, vision, and dedication to the college's advancement. Now, this is where it's crazy. After careful review, the board determined that Dr. James' separation from the college did not fully comply with the procedural and contractual requirements outlined in its employment agreement. As fiduciaries of this institution, the board recognizes its responsibility to adhere to established governance standards and to correct actions that fall short of those obligations. The board acknowledges that this period has been disruptive and painful for members of the Morris Brown community. The board deeply regrets the harm this has caused our institution, students, families, donors, supporters, and Dr. James. While correcting a governance and process failure is necessary, the board recognizes that this action alone does not resolve broader concerns that have been raised regarding workplace culture, trust, and the experience of employees. The board takes seriously the concerns voiced by members of our community and affirms that retaliation against individuals who raise concerns in good faith is not acceptable. Now, the board is committed to ensuring that appropriate processes exist for concerns to be raised safely, reviewed fairly, and addressed responsibly. To that end, the board will take additional steps to review governance practices and institutional processes with the goal of restoring and strengthening trust, transparency, and accountability across the Morris Brown community. Morris Brown College remains steadfastly focused on its mission, its students, and its future. Morris Brown Board of Trustees.
I like the setup.
This right here, y'all, this lays out here members of the Morris Brown Board. Go to my iPad. You see it right here. Right Reverend Bishop Michael Mitchell, Mr. Darrell Hicks, Mr. Terry Comer, Dr. Kevin James ex officio, Muhammad Bala, Reverend Dr. Gwendolyn Boyd, Pedro Bryant, Dr. James Ures Jr., Dr. Lisa Herring, Mr. Gregory Jackson, Mr. Eric Thornton, Mr. Antoine Walker, Miss Sandra Mason, Miss Lisa Tolliver, Mr. Clarence Williamson, Dr. Marvin Brown, ex officio, Miss Kyla Hicks, ex officio, SGA President Morris Brown. Y'all, the statement that Morris Brown College released today is 100% bullshit. It is shameful. It is despicable. Let me be perfectly clear. Okay? There are two main responsibilities of a board of trustees or a board of an organization. Two. First, you have a fiduciary responsibility to the institution or the organization. That's number one. You don't screw up the money. You watch the money like a hawk, you spend appropriately, you make cuts when necessary, you watch, you have more inflow than outflow. But the second is governance. Number two, your job is to deal with the president. You don't run the institution. You deal with the president. I've been a 4-time board member now, National Association of Black Journalists. Do you know who we hire? The executive director. Do you know who manages the staff? The executive director. ED screws up, we getting his or her ass. It's governance. And so here you have a board of trustees admitting they are incompetent. Admitting it. They are admitting their level of incompetence. You mean to tell me that they actually posted in a press release after careful review, the board determined that Dr. James, come on, go to it, Dr. James' separation from the college did not fully comply with the procedural and contractual requirements outlined in his employment agreement? That means you dumbasses fired the president and you didn't even read his fucking contract before you did? Do y'all know how dumb that is? Y'all, I have fired a lot of people. I've hired a lot of people. And if there's somebody who has a contract and I want to terminate them, do you know what's the first thing I do? I get a copy of their contract. And then I read the contract. And then I say, how long is the contract? I then go to the for cause section of the contract. I then go to the without cause section of the contract. I then study the penalties in the contract. I look at it and say, what is it going to cost us if we get rid of this person? Do we have to pay health care? Do we have to pay dental? Do we have to pay into a retirement account? I look at all of that. That's what real leaders do. You don't fire somebody and not look at their contract. When they fired him, you know the first thing that I did? I called him. Sure did.
Sure
Now,
did.
We're not friends, but I've met him. I've been to the campus like many other presidents who I can call. And what did he tell me? What he posted in his Facebook. I got a contract. It's up in 2029. He said he just had an evaluation. Let me explain to y'all how easy it is to get sued. If you fire somebody with 3 years left on their contract and they just had an evaluation, let me tell you something. That means that when you get sued, you then have to explain in depositions and to the court what transpired between their review and your decision to fire them, and was it for cause? And so if it wasn't for cause, then you're going to have to negotiate a settlement. So let it be as clear as I possibly can. Do you know what needs to happen? And all this little, the members, we know it's been tough or whatever. I'm very clear. That also, by the way, I wouldn't be shocked by this. I know the press release said the board of trustees. I would not be shocked that there's no record of the entire board voting on this. I will put money that this was not a unanimous decision to fire James. I bet you the whole board wasn't on the call. I would love to know what the actual vote was to fire him, and then what the vote was to reinstate him. So let me say this here. Every board member of Morris Brown College who participated in the decision to fire Dr. Kevin James must resign today. they all should resign. What you have done is you have grossly embarrassed your university. You have shown that you are incompetent to lead. You have proven that you cannot be trusted to lead. If you are a board member, you are admitting that you participated in the firing of a president and you didn't even follow proper governance, and you didn't even follow procedures.
That's what
you
I'm
didn't
saying.
even follow the basics of an HR manual. Then you have no business being on the board of trustees. And I remember the press release that sent out. And I don't know who he is, but I'll say this here. The Right Reverend Bishop Michael Mitchell, the presiding prelate of the 6th District of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the chair of the board, you need to resign. You need to quit today, because this clearly says you have no business leading the Morris Brown College Board if you did not even have enough common sense to ask to see his contract first and to say, hey, General Counsel, are we doing this properly? Are we following proper procedures? Sounds to me like y'all made an arbitrary decision. Y'all didn't read nothing. And then he exposed your level of incompetence. And now, a week later, you got to look like a dog with his tail caught between his legs and like, oh, we mutually agreed to come back. No, that ain't what happened. You had no choice but to rescind it because you knew you were going to get your asses sued and you knew you were going to lose in court, and then you're going to pay this man 3 years of his contract and then pay an interim president. This is flat out crazy.
Right.
What happened here, y'all, makes no sense whatsoever. This should never happen. Not with a college, not with a HBCU. This shouldn't happen with a nonprofit with $10 in the bank.
Right.
This is basic. And I'm telling you right now, if somebody was willing to give Morris Brown $1 million or $100,000 or $10,000 or $100,000, I don't have the confidence in the Morris Brown board to give y'all $10 when you come out with a statement and you admit you don't know what the hell you were doing. And I know somebody might be saying, damn, bro, that's hardcore. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Y'all, we just went through a search for executive director of the National Association of Black Journalists. I knew it was jacked up, and we knew there were problems with it. Do you know what happened? We had a general board meeting. It was on a Saturday. We had an election, and I got elected to the board on Friday. We didn't get sworn in until Sunday. And we had the meeting on Saturday. You know what I did? I sat there and I questioned every single board member on the process. Did you vote on the contract? No, we did not. Did you actually see the details of the contract? No, I did not. Do y'all know why I was asking all those questions? Because you know what? I actually read the goddamn Constitution. I understood that we have an operating procedures in NABJ and we have a constitution. But I also know as somebody who's actually written constitutions, and being a parliamentarian, anybody would tell you that your operating procedures do not override your constitution. Your constitution always overrides your operating procedures. They voted on a new ED based upon the operating procedures and not the Constitution. The Constitution clearly states that, guess what? That the board is to vote on it. And so there were board members who clearly had not even read the Constitution. Do you know what the Constitution is for a board? It's literally your damn manual. It's your damn owner's manual. That's what you do. When you join a board, the first thing you do is say, can I please get a copy of the board constitution or the operating procedures so I can understand exactly what my job and duties are. So then I read through the Constitution and I then go, here are the duties of the president, and here's the duty of the vice chair or this treasury and the secretary. It's real basic. And so when you read the Constitution, you sit there and go, I need to understand what's going on. Let me help y'all out. This ain't to, oh man, well, you 57 years old. No, let me help y'all out. I was a national student representative on the board of the National Association of Black Journalists in 1989. And the student rep did not have a vote on the board until one day I was sitting here reading the Constitution and reading the bylaws. And then I noticed something. In the bylaws, this was actually in January of 1990. This took place at a
What's up,
board meeting at the
Sard?
Porter Institute in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I was sitting here studying the Constitution for a year, y'all. And I was sitting here saying, I see a problem here, because in the bylaws, it said that the National Student Representative did not have a vote on the board of directors. But then over here, I was studying the Constitution, and the Constitution said the board is comprised of the following individuals. And I said, well, wait a minute, that's weird. The Constitution, the bylaws say I can't vote, but the Constitution lists me as a member of the board. And so then I'm sitting here reading, I'm like, well, wait a minute. The Constitution does not explicitly state that that the president, the vice president, the regional directors actually have a vote. The Constitution simply implies, it assumes they have a vote. I said, well, wait a minute. The bylaws and the Constitution are in conflict. And when the bylaws of the Constitution are in conflict, Constitution overrides the bylaws. So I went to the parliamentarian, Jackie Jones, and said, Jackie, let me ask you a question. This is what the bylaws say, and this is what the Constitution says. I said, so am I correct to say that over here, I have a right to vote? Over here, I don't have a right to vote. And over here, doesn't this override that? She says, yes, it does. I said, correct me if I'm wrong. You're the parliamentarian. You have the final authority to weigh in on any parliamentary procedures or the Constitution or the bylaws. She says, yes, I am. I said, so what that tells me is I can vote. She says, that is true. And we walked into the board meeting.
I like them,
When I sprung it on them, all hell broke loose. You know why? Because I actually read the damn documents. That's called governance. Y'all, that was 1989. I was a college student. So you mean to tell me, go to my iPad, you mean to tell me that all of these people who are sitting on the board of directors of Morris Brown College, the presiding prelate, a financial advisor, the founder and CEO of Impact Data, you mean to tell me that the CFO of the city of Atlanta, executive search consultant, the president CEO of Uni National Bank, education consultant, youth advocate, the president of Propel Center, the president CEO of Jackson Asset Management, the founding president of Firm Care Life Sharing, the president of the National Alumni Association, and the director of Accountability Courts, DeKalb County. Ain't that something? Accountability Courts. Then you have the second alumni rep, retired assistant director of student support services, DeKalb County Colleges, and the manager of community relations for Georgia Power, and the head of communications for CSBB Wells Fargo. And then you have an ex officio faculty rep and an SGA president. You mean to tell me that folk with titles as president and CEO and founder did not have enough common sense to actually read your own governance procedures and the contract of your president? And now y'all look like some fools firing Dr. Kevin James a week ago, reinstating him a week later, and we're supposed to go, hey, it's business as usual. No, this is weak, impotent leadership. And if you are a graduate of Morris Brown, if you are a donor of Morris Brown, if you are a student of Morris Brown, if you're the parent of a student of Morris Brown, you should be embarrassed with what this Board of Trustees has done. The only thing, the righteous thing that they should do is every person that participated in the firing of Dr. Kevin James should tender their resignation tonight, because what they have done is failed as a member of the Board of Trustees.
Facts.
My next guest, Dr. Erin Lynch, she actually called her. She said, oh, they're going to reinstate him. She's the president of Quality Education for the Minorities Network. And you dropped some Instagram videos and you said, they're going to reinstate him. Watch, it's going to happen next week. And boom, like clockwork, it happened.
He a dumbass lefty, like to lie about Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's for every reason that you called, right? The data just didn't make sense as to why they got rid of him. This was clearly an emotional decision, and it was not evidence-based. So, yeah.
And here's the deal, okay? I'm not here to defend Dr. James. I don't know why they made the decision. Again, I don't know. I know of him. We've met. So I ain't got no inside information. I know that somebody posted something, said they were a whistleblower, they raised some concerns. So I have no idea. And what was crazy is the first thing, I called him out from day one. You don't fire a president and you don't even say for
That's
cause.
crazy,
You don't
right.
even say
You just
why.
fired
They
him.
just
That's
not
crazy.
like, okay, he fired, thank you, we move
Right.
along. Here's the interim president. I was like, this don't look right.
Mm.
Why is Amazon paying me $63,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of money.
Yeah, and it didn't look right, right? I mean, everything from the beginning in terms of how they put out the press release, you know, there are ways to be able to protect HR decisions where you can reference policy without violating confidentiality for personnel issues, right? So we saw this at Lincoln University when they investigated the president and his staff after Candy's suicide. And the board came out with a statement and they said very clearly, here's what we did in the investigation. Here's the policy we followed. Here's what we did. So you can do that, right? A board can do that with a very savvy communications person and really good counsel. So the fact that they tried to hide, and there were so many folks on the internet trying to hide behind, well, they can't talk about it because it's a personnel issue. That's not completely accurate, right? Well, and they brought the only reason, another thing that came up, the only reason they brought him back was because they couldn't afford the buyout, the payout. And that's not accurate either, because the documents show the evidence that they likely have what's called D&O insurance, directors and officers insurance. And so if you look at the 990s, this is documented in the 990s. And so they're paying about $21,000 a year for insurance management fees, which is likely D&O insurance. So if they fire someone, they can do an insurance claim, just like if I wreck my car, I can do an insurance claim to be paid in full, right? Or to be reinstated in terms of the loss. But you cannot file a claim for D&O if you violated your own policies. And that's exactly the letter that they put out. So the post that I did, the op-ed that I wrote last week, you know, they had one of two options. They were going to have to come up with a stronger letter as to why they were standing on business and keeping him fired. And then it was going to go to court. And then it was going to have to go through a series of discovery. So they would have to show, just like you said, or they would have to reinstate him. So they only really had two options based on the publicly available information. Right. So regardless of the whistleblower stuff, regardless of the hearsay that was going on in the internet, actual documents themselves support that this was one of two actions that they could do.
I don't take lightly calling for a whole board to resign, but this is egregious. Yeah, this is so basic. Yeah. If you've been on boards before, if you're sitting on the board and the chair or the vice chair or board member comes and says, I think we need to fire the president, boom, red flags go up. What's the basis? Why are we doing so? What's the action we're taking? What's precipitating this? Has there been any board investigation? Right. Is it an internal investigation? Is it an external investigation? Can we see the reasons why? When did we start this here? When did we last do a review? Oh, the review took place just 2 or 3 months ago. Okay, so what transpired from the end of our review and now that then will justify us firing the president? Hey, could you please get us a copy of the president's contract so we can actually see the for cause and the without cause terms and clauses that are in the contract? Those are literally the...
Listen, man, thank y'all for tapping into Yo Cuz Podcast. Y'all already know what it is. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. I'm going to run it back for part 2. Y'all already know, man, we definitely lit on the Yo Cuz Podcast. Man, listen, everything that I play on my podcast is facts. You feel me? I already know how y'all don't like these people, but guess what? Y'all got to listen to what the people is saying. Then y'all understand. Stop judging the person if you don't even know a person, man. And y'all heard it first on the Yo Cuz Podcast. And we lit, bitch.